Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
Hey, this is Gary from Night Dreams Talk Radio. I want to welcome a new sponsor to our show, PhoenixShaving.com. I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, another disposable razor company. Well, the fact is they're not. You remember the razors that your father and his father shaved with? Did you ever notice they didn't have, well, the embarrassing razor burn or ingrowing hairs or the razor bumps after they shaved? Did you notice they were also relaxed after they were done shaving? Well, the problem is these big corporations want to sell you razor after razor after razor. Think about how much money you spend a year on razors. Or do you use electric razor? Then you're going to find out what razor burn is. So you need to check out Phoenix Shaving Starter Kits. They come complete with the soap, the brush, and a 2.5-month supply of blades. And the most important part of it, an all-metal razor built to last generations. So, hey, you can donate it to one of your sons when they turn 18. Check out PhoenixShaving.com and tell them that Gary from Night Dream said, hey, I want one. That's PhoenixShaving.com now.
Check out Night Dream's website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
Well, hi, everyone. This is Gary. Well, here it is, the 25th. There's been some group on Facebook has been posting for the last month. Well, the Earth was supposed to, well, come to the end yesterday on the 24th. Well, I woke up this morning. I could find my pants. I found my wallet and car keys. And guess what? I was set. And then I realized, well, guess what, guys? The world didn't come to an end. Oh boy, maybe if they have a life that continues on for decades and decades and decades, maybe that prediction might come true. Hey, tonight we got Thomas Hewlett. He is an author. He's got some great books out. Hey, are you there, Thomas?
Yes, right here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, well, no problem. I'm actually glad you're here. Otherwise, you know what I'd be doing? I'd be talking to myself.
That's okay. I do that a lot.
I do, too, and people kind of stare at me.
Hazard of the trade.
Yeah, so what got you, well, why don't you tell everybody what you do and what got you into doing what you do?
Well, I'm an author. I write a series of supernatural murder mysteries called The 12 Stakes. And I've been working on it for about 4 years now. I've got 2 books out. Third one should be out in a month or so. I started writing this book. A mixture of things. Past experience, I've had I grew up reading mysteries, like classic LA mysteries, especially Raymond Chandler, but also monster books, basically horror, sci-fi, stuff like that. And I started writing this book after I got out of rehab, actually, because the characters in it, the vampires, especially the main character, was inspired by the addicts and the alcoholics that I met. And it was a way to use that experience in a positive way, positive direction.
Oh, wow. So you were in rehab and you met some really far out people and that got you into vampires. Now, I got to ask you a question. I've had some people on my show that claim they are a vampire, but I guess there's different type of vampires. One, it kind of like takes takes whatever your thoughts are, your being and sucks it from you. And then there's the other one that bites you in the neck. And then there's a third one that, they have people come to their house and they donate blood. And I had one guest on, that's all he's lived on for like the last 10 years, is people coming to their house and donating blood. Ooh, just the thought of that.
Yes, donors. I have read of this. I've heard of this.
Well, he can't have any of my blood one way or the other, I'll tell you that.
Well, it's funny, in writing these books and being a part of this unique subculture, so we say, I've actually had to tell a couple of fans online that I don't share. And this is something that needs to be clear to a certain type of fan. I don't share blood. no harm, no foul, just not interested. So it's been an interesting introduction to a part of the world I did not know existed.
Well, have you actually had some of your fans want to basically absorb some of your blood?
I have had people ask me what my blood type is in a way that would suggest this was because they admired my work, and they were offering me like a flattering deal. So, hey, I admire you. I like what you're doing. Would you like to? And the answer is no. I have to be very clear about that.
Oh, yeah. I
But
mean,
I didn't take it as an insult. It was actually a compliment in their world. So
yeah. And that subworld is kind of big. I mean, like I said, I've had a couple on the show. I get a lot of people, that claim they're vampires wanting to come on the show. But, I do screen people pretty well, and I take the most unique cases, on the show. I mean, I don't want this everyday vampire. I want the one that's exciting, and the one, where he said for like the last 10 years, his friends come over and willingly donate blood, and he hasn't ate any solid food, anything in the last 10 years. Now, he did say, Thomas, that if he goes outside, he breaks out in, a rash, his skin, like burns. But you know what? He's probably so anemic from that's the only diet he has, And plus, you're depending on what the other people have been eating, I guess.
yes, that's the definition of trust and friendship right there.
Well, it's a good way to get AIDS and all these other, things. Oh, well, no way. I like my blood right where it's attached, into my fat body. So you got into, when you're in rehab, you started getting the urge to write it. Did you have the urge to write books before that? Or when you were in rehab, is that where you kind of like were pulling your life together and you decided, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
I had actually known when I was a child that I wanted to be a professional writer. I was always drawn to it, and I got sidetracked with drugs and alcohol. And when I cleaned up, this was 7 years ago, when I cleaned up, I was given basically a second chance. And a counselor straight out asked me, what was the one thing you wanted to do in your life that you never did? Now you have the chance to do it. What are you going to do? And I immediately said, write a book.
Oh, wow.
And I knew right away that, okay, this is why I'm here, and I'm going to take everything that got me here, and I'm going to do something with it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's when this book just kind of came to me almost all at once. The stories, the characters, the confluence of events, it was pretty incredible.
Well, now, what's the name of this book now, the first one you wrote?
The first one is called One Death at a Time.
Oh, well, can you tell a little, without giving any plots away, can you kind of give us a little story about what it is?
Oh, sure. The first book, One Death at a Time, is about Jack Strayhorn, who is a private investigator, is also a vampire. And he was from 1940s Los Angeles, and he actually died during the Black Dahlia investigation and became a vampire. And he's come back to L.A. after an absence of 60 years to solve a murder investigation, a supernatural murder involving a city council member. And he's re-experiencing the city. He's learned to use his powers in intervening years. And this case just tests everything that he is.
Oh, wow. So he's basically now he hasn't been dead all this time. He's just been a vampire somewhere, or where has he been for those years?
He says he's been traveling around. He goes from city to city. He solves cases. He's just been avoiding Los Angeles because of the bad memories, and he's finally coming back. But his story, those 60 years of him traveling around solving cases, I realized after reading the book that I had this gold mine of stories waiting. And where has he been all this time? I want to explore that in future books and perhaps take those stories and turn them into graphic novels as well.
Oh.
But he's a very interesting character with a semi-mysterious background.
Now, is he one of the vampires that can walk during the daylight, or is he the one that has to, come out at night when it's dark and eerie?
Well, no, in my book, the vamps are strongest at night. During the day, sunlight doesn't burn them, doesn't kill them, but they're at their weakest. They really do need to feed and do everything they need to do at night. They're much stronger than their 100% of their powers. So while he is somewhat vulnerable during the day, he chooses to go out at night. It won't kill him.
Uh-huh.
But the night is his natural element, like this. classic vampires.
Wow. And, okay, how does he get his blood? I mean, does he do it the old-fashioned way, going up to some stranger, some hot chick walking down the street and bites her in the neck, and or does he do it some other way?
Jack is driven by two things. One, he's basically a man with a mission. He was a police officer. He has an innate sense of justice. So when he feeds, he only feeds on criminals, basically. He intervenes during crimes. He saves people. And he feeds on the criminal himself. But in my book, the vampires are the ones who started Alcoholics Anonymous. It was a secret organization for them to help each other survive. And the AA that we know as humans was a front. So he and the other vamps who go through AA kind of learn to feed on humans and drink blood without going too far, without killing anybody, without losing control of themselves. So for Jack, it's a constant battle to walk that line. And he does have to feed to survive, but if he takes too much, he blacks out, he goes crazy, he kills people, and he doesn't want to do that. So it's always this sense of tension.
Oh, wow. It's like one of my relatives with beer. I mean, he's okay with one beer.
Hey.
You give him two, and, he's out for the rest of the night because that's his whole life.
Literally, that's where this idea came from. I saw a lot of parallels between the blood drinker characters I created and the alcoholics I knew, and in myself. Like, it's the same thing. One drug, one drink, and you lose control. It's not something I can control myself. So I use that to write Jack's character. Like for me, I'm sober. I'm in recovery. I know that I can't use drugs or drink like normal people. It's not the same for me. So I'm very careful about what I let into my life, but I know that it's always out there waiting for me. I have a drink, I think I can get away with it, I relax or whatever excuse I use. Next thing I know, I'm waking up a week later and my life is gone.
Well, change the subject. My grandfather was a flaming alcoholic, and he lived on Whidbey Island. And now we're going to go back to maybe 1959, 1960. And on Whidbey Island, as in Washington State, is a nice little island, especially back then. Everybody knew everybody, and it was a little town called Langley. And every year they would have their county fair. And my grandfather, like always, at a certain time of day, he headed off to get his fix. And they were having a major parade going on with floats and all that stuff. Well, I guess for that small community. He took out a couple